welcome, David. I appreciate you coming, and congratulations.
Thank you.
You're the owner of the PeachTree Sandwich Shop in DeWitt, New York.
That's right.
How did you come up with, I have so many questions for you, so.
Sure.
How did you come up with the name?
All right, that's a good question. I came up with a name because it's a Southern-inspired sandwich shop. And so the idea was, how do I kind of have a subtle hint of what we're doing there? My wife is from Georgia, and in Georgia, everything is Peachtree. The schools are called Peachtree, the streets are Peachtree, the bank is Peachtree, blah, blah, everything's Peachtree. So, so I thought that's a good way to start. The interesting thing is a lot of people up here aren't familiar with that, but some people are. Mm-hmm. So the people who kind of get it are like, oh, Peachtree, is it Southern? And the other people are like, what does it mean? And then we get to explain it. So it kind of works on both ways.
So how did you find your location? And for our people that are listening, can you tell us about where it is and how you came about that?
Right in the heart of DeWitt. We're in the same plaza as the UPS store, right across from the firehouse in DeWitt. I had been looking for the last, I'd say, 8 years to open up a restaurant. So my wife and I, we were in New York City working, came back to Syracuse because my family is from here to have kids. And once we moved back, my first thought was like, I want to open a restaurant. And so I just, for 8 years, have been looking for spots to open, kind of came really close a few times on a few spots. Happy that those didn't work out because even 8 years ago, I was just a dumb kid, you know, not sure what I wanted, but I just knew I wanted a restaurant. And so came really close to a couple spaces. They always fell through, came very close on one space. That fell through at the very end. So for the last 2 years, I've been just kind of like, okay, is this ever gonna happen? And then what happened was when COVID hit, I started seeing the way that takeout food was kind of almost doing the exact opposite of a lot of other businesses. So a lot of businesses were starting to struggle. Yeah. Takeout food was thriving. I mean, it makes sense looking back, but like back in March, it was kind of like, wait, why is these restaurants are doing so well? Kind of saw that and I thought to myself, okay, this is an opportunity to maybe open my restaurant in a different format. So I took my lunch menu from my restaurant that was sandwiches, like really cool sandwiches and stuff like that, and tinkered it a little bit and realized I can use a much smaller space that I could build out myself because it's smaller, and was able to use that idea to locate different spaces. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of small spaces that are just looking to rent out right now. So I found a few spaces, and then this one space, I was like, man, right in the middle of DeWitt. I grew up in DeWitt, so I know this space. And I thought to myself, let's do it. So I kind of just said, at some point, you just got to pull the trigger and just take off, you know? Yeah. So I just said, all right, I'm just going to do it, and decided that's where it was going to be, right in the middle of DeWitt. I'm happy with it so far.
Your timing is, you know, when people say COVID, your timing's horrible, but good, because when you look at it, Shoppingtown Mall is going to get reinvigorated here, and with who knows what, but that will help. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're in the east suburbs with 100,000 people within.
Tons of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're really close.
I hope it works out. Yeah. I mean, so just for the listeners, I have not opened yet. So as of this podcast, we haven't opened yet. I'm hoping to open in the next 2 weeks. Okay. But yeah, and also it's just a takeout space right now. So the idea was to maybe have a couple tables in there. The way that the sizing didn't work, it didn't work out. So now it's just takeout. We have online ordering. I haven't decided on the Grubhub, DoorDash kind of third-party delivery service yet. Mm-hmm. I really want to kind of have a month of operation before I start that, so I can make sure that there's no problem with the quality of the food if I start to do that. I did a lot of the mechanics of food traveling has changed a lot in the last few years. Yeah. I don't think anyone accepts just a styrofoam thing of soggy fries anymore. So I think that a lot of research went into kind of determining what type of container I'm using and how long can food be in that container before, can someone who lives in Jamesville, which is a 15-minute drive, pick up food on their way home, and by the time they get home, how's my burger taste? Yeah. How do my fries? How are the sandwiches, the hot sandwiches? Are the cold sandwiches still cold? Yeah. How's the lettuce look? All those things. So really had to kind of think about that stuff when it came to takeout.
The technology has changed so much too, not only in packaging, but in the food. Like in the last food equipment, in the last 3 weeks, we've had 3 different ovens come out with this microwave bake technology, and you can use it as a microwave, you can use it as a bake oven, you can use it as a microwave and a bake oven.
Yeah.
And 2 different companies came out with it, and we actually experimented with a C-store chain, and they loved it. They're actually going to try it and see if it works, because it takes from 2 pieces to 1, but it improves the quality of the food, because you can blast it with a microwave, bake it for a little bit, blast it with a microwave, and then finish it off, baked, crispy, and it comes out absolutely,
And that's like hitting one button on the thing, right? You like program it, it's like, and then it does it. Yeah, it's nuts. You guys probably see some pretty cool stuff around here.
It's been, what happened is for so long, it's kind of, everybody would take a whatever and just put a little spin on it. Now, during this COVID, it's given these manufacturers some time to sit there and say, okay, it's time to, in the R&D world, it's time to really look at this. So in the last 6 months, some groundbreaking equipment's come out. There's a tilt skillet and if you ever work with a tilt skillet, you know how hard it is to clean.
Oh yeah.
This thing has a self-filling water thing built right in, a self-drain built in. You can literally take a 48-inch and you can quadrant it off. So you could do eggs, pancakes, ground beef, and something else.
In
and
the same skillet at the same time.
It also has a boiling feature where you could literally put in pasta, hit the pasta button, it lowers it in. When it's done, it takes it out. You have fresh pasta, or you have, all made, done. No labor, no stirring, no anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so some of these things that have been coming out have been really, really cool. So we're hoping that there's more and more of this, because some people just say, okay, put a fryer, put a range, put a this, and that works. But there's some labor savings in these. Just like you said, it's all programmed to hit the button. That's maybe saving, because the biggest thing we talked about before we got on the air was labor. So many people are going to want to go out. So many people are going to want to get back into, having a night out or going to a place to eat, that I think labor is going to be really tough for people. So some of this equipment, it's exciting. It's good to see. It's just someone's got to be that first person to embrace it. Because when new stuff comes out, people will go.
Well, you never want to be the first.
Right.
Yeah. You never want to be the first guy to try it, because then you're the one who's like the guinea pig. I think it's funny, right? Equipment and labor. So I think a lot of people have this idea that, once equipment is here automation is here to get rid of labor, and it's like it's taking jobs away. And in some ways it is, like the kiosk at McDonald's or something like that. That's gonna, it's because a cashier costs a certain amount and that kiosk costs a certain amount. And it's always like a cost, benefit relationship that they're, they're trying to figure out. But I think it's interesting, because if I get the right equipment in, actually the people that work for me, and I teach them how to use the equipment, and the equipment benefits them and makes their job easier, I think a lot of times that's super helpful as an owner or operator, because what you can do is you can make their jobs easier. And as my job really a lot of times is kind of trying to support my staff. Do I give them the tools to do their job correctly? And it's like, what are the tools? They might be physical tools. Like, hey, instead of you having to do this, you can just hit this button, like at Wegmans with those crazy burger press things.
Yeah.
Like,
clamshell, they call it, heated clamshell.
Those things are insane.
Yeah.
And I see those things, and I'm like, if I'm a worker here, and my biggest fear was that I would maybe not cook a burger enough and get someone sick, because they're serving probably hundreds of burgers a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you make it easier for me? Well, you put that press thing down, it cooks it exactly how much it should cook, and then you take it off, right? So, and if you're like a fancy hipster restaurant in New York City, you're not going to use one of those things. But if you're cooking hundreds of burgers a day, like at Wegmans, that thing helps you, right? So that thing's not taking someone's job; it's making someone's job easier, and it's making my employees happier if I was working for Wegmans. And in that case, your turnover goes down, your people don't call out as much, and all of a sudden you get this better relationship with your employees. So I think it's interesting how equipment is really, especially in the restaurant industry, because there's safety, there's sanitation issues, physical safety, food safety issues, all these things that you have to consider. And to make it easier for my staff, I think makes them maybe want to come to work a little bit more. There's nothing worse when you're a worker and you're not confident in what you're doing. You get nervous, then you're like, I don't want to do it. But I guess that's anything.
It's so true, because when we did Salt City, Welch Allen, so I ran the food service at Welch Allen for 10 years, and that was their motto: give you the equipment to be successful, and then get out of your way. But don't tell us why it doesn't work or why you can't, just let us know what you need, and we'll give it to you as long as it makes you successful. And that's what they did at these Salt City vendors. They gave them, pretty much everything they needed. They had a chance to come, look at our design and say, can I add this? Can you move this? Can you add this? Can you do this? And we pretty much customized those 9 booths for those vendors that are there right now, in mind that eventually it might change. They might go and leave to a restaurant, or they might not do well. And that's so true, because if you give them that, they're going to want to work. They're going to work better. The food quality is going to be better, and there's no excuses. And I think it's a great motto. Not a lot of people do what you do, because a lot of people are looking, what's the cheapest thing, or what's
Sure.
how can I can I do. And that's okay. We understand people are on a limited budget, but we also want you to know that there's benefits maybe to spending a little bit more sometimes in the upfront, because it'll save you money in the long run. So
Sure. Well, I mean, another thing too is like you have an employee that you give them this amazing piece of equipment and you never train them on it, and then all of a sudden they don't even know how to use it. I used to work. I did a lot of big corporate dining in New York City, and I worked for Goldman Sachs with a company called Aramark, which I'm sure you're aware of. And we had these buildings where we do all the catering, we do the cafes for them and stuff like that down on Wall Street. And Goldman Sachs wanted, obviously, the best of everything. So they gave us so much funding to basically make these cafes, and they'd ask for crazy stuff all the time. So we were getting equipment in all the time. They were like, I want a Mongolian grill, or I want all this crazy stuff. And we'd be like, okay. And so we'd get equipment in, and we'd have the equipment guy come in, and he'd show us maybe for 10 minutes how to turn it on, how to clean it, and then he'd leave. And then we had to figure it out. And so then as a manager, I had to figure out how to use it. And then I had to figure out how to tell my staff how to do it. A lot of my staff didn't speak English, and so then I had to make sure that the sous chef of the account could translate it. And it was like this whole communication breakdown, which unfortunately led to that like Mongolian grill. We used it to like cook burgers
equipment
on.
stand. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was so stupid.
Yeah.
So it was like they weren't trained well enough on it. I think another thing too with employees that a lot of people, in my opinion, I think is important is empowering them to do what they need to do to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's with equipment. That's saying, I trust you to use this piece of equipment. It's super expensive, but I trust you to use it correctly, and you're not going to mess it up.
Yeah.
And I think empowering them to kind of do a lot of things is important too, to keep them happy too, because no one wants to be untrusted in your job. Like right now, if your boss was watching you do this podcast, like, Mark, what is he saying? You wouldn't be able to do it so well. So I think it's important that too, and that's either with equipment or that's with, whether I trust you to handle a customer well, customer problems. I don't think you can ever reach real hospitality when the manager is the only one who deals with the customers on, unhappy customers or happy customers. Like, I had a problem with this sandwich. Oh, let me go grab my manager. Like, you're never going to be able to have the right, like what I would consider hospitality in that situation. You need to empower your staff to be able to do that, or this wasn't cooked enough. Let me take care of this, and give them the tools to take care of that too. So it's not just equipment.
Yeah, I work for Compass Group, so they had that Disney. They went through the Disney management style or whatever school. We did the Disney school, and it was just like that. Everybody from the manager to the dishwasher could empower themselves to take care of a customer. It didn't matter, who you were or what you were, your position was. They wanted that customer experience, like the Disney experience.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And Disney does it well. I mean, Disney's crazy, but sorry if anyone works for Disney listening, but like, it's a crazy place, but they figure out how to make people happy. I honestly, like, happiness is the end goal, in my opinion, in this industry and any service industry. Happiness is the end goal.
I say that to people, sorry to cut you off. I say that to people like coffee. I can go to 5 different places for coffee every morning, right? And they're all pretty much, there's some good, some, they're all, I walk in and the lady's like, Mark, good morning, how are you? Like, the other places, coffee, what do you, I'm like, no, I want to go somewhere where I feel like, hey, I'm part of this, you're invested in me, I'm invested in you.
Yeah.
And I think if more people would, realize that those little things do really matter,
it would be a game changer. Yeah. I'm actually happy because my place will be doing that, and if the more places that don't, makes me look a little bit better. But it's sad. It is sad. I think people get lost. I think there was such a long time in our industry where it was considered weird to care about your customers so much. I don't know why. There's this pizza shop near where I live, which is like the best pizza. I love it. I grew up on it. But the guys working there sometimes are a little rough around the edges. I try and give them a credit card number when I'm paying over the phone, and it's like this
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, bro, like I'm trying to pay you. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and of course I still go there because the pizza's amazing and the owner is amazing too. I'm not gonna say the name, but the point is that they are. It's just that little stuff, you know, that makes me happy. Hospitality, sense of belonging, feeling welcome, feeling comfortable. You know, some of the best restaurants in the world, if you go, I'm sure you've been to some super nice restaurants in your travels, and I'll tell you, it's so funny. They're not stuffy. They're not snotty.
Yeah.
They're not. They make you feel so at home that you walk out and you go, that was the best time.
Yeah.
It was so nice. You're like, oh, I paid a lot of money, but like amazing time. That's hospitality. And it doesn't matter whether it's in a relationship you have with a customer when you're giving them coffee, whether I am giving you a hamburger, whether I'm giving you a foie gras terrine, whatever it is that we're dealing with. It's like, even the smallest level, even if you're at a gas station buying like, you know, a bag of chips. It's like, do I feel comfortable? Are you making me feel welcome? Are you smiling? Are you happy? Because if you're not happy, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference. And I think, honestly,
that's true.
that results in better numbers,
Yeah.
you know.
That's true.
Easy.
You made a comment before about New York, and I was reading the paper this week about all these people moving up from New York, and you did it 8 years ago. I didn't know if you read that article in the Post-Standard.
I haven't seen it, no.
It was this talk about, you know, they saw that they can work from home, the quality of life, the price of housing, the schools, you know, all the things that, and these people that have come up and visited. They talked about a couple that visited Pompey and just fell in love and ended up in Manlius.
Pompey's nice, isn't it?
Right. But my brother-in-law is actually, he's in D.C., and he was up in Philadelphia in a suburb with a friend and literally just said, oh my God, I can work from anywhere. And then ended up, you know, trying to find a house and buying a house this week. Do you see more of your friends from New York thinking about that, or is it still, because the New York City, Scott, the owner of our company, was in New York City last night, sent us a picture of Times Square, and you wouldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. He's like, this is sad. You know, this is like, you know, there was nobody down there. Now I know it was snowing, but you
no,
live
doesn't
there.
snow, doesn't matter.
Right.
Usually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, so actually my buddy from grad school who lives in New York right now, he was up here working earlier this week. So, you know, he came in and we stood in opposite sides of my garage and had a beer and just chatted for a minute. He just bought a house in Rhinebeck, New York, which is Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
A lot of people are moving that way too, but yes. So he basically was like, and I was like, oh, you know, if you can afford it, a lot of people are like, I don't want to spend my entire life in the city. No one wants to take the subways anymore. You know, Uber drivers are getting, you know, like people aren't trusting like the safety of it as much.
Yeah.
And they just want to have a nice area where they can like have their kids. And a lot of them, it's with the kids. Like they don't want their kids in the schools or whatever down there. Now, here's the point. I mean, God bless my buddy. He can afford a house in Rhinebeck and live in New York. So it's like, you know, he's got it best of both worlds. I think I do the same thing as he does. I think, though, it's interesting, though, Central New York is such a great place. It's funny how people, like, it takes them a minute to get here to realize how awesome it is here. Like, you just said, like, Pompey. Like, you drive through Pompey, there's gorgeous houses, tons of land, golf courses, like, you know, and there's, like, restaurants that are kind of, you know, going out there, that we're stretching out a little bit now. Yeah. It's like, it's so great. Or Manly, it's like, there's some really good places around here. People don't know. And I mean, people from New York kind of think of upstate as kind of like, we're a bunch of like rednecks up here, but it's not true.
It's good to see that finally people have realized that, you know, that while it's up, I don't call us upstate, you know, people think Rhinebeck is, you know, upstate.
That's right.
Yeah, we're central. I think it's time that people, you know, once they get this, there's only been 3 or 4 good things to come out of COVID. That's one of the things that has been a little bit of a surprise to me, because we always knew it was great, but to get people to realize, to come up from New York City and Washington, D.C. and other areas of the country and say, this is really that good. I think it's going to bring too, because those people may say, hey, I want to open up a coffee shop or a restaurant.
It's going to make small businesses be able to kind of thrive a little bit more, because people are going to be looking for some, you know, specific things, which is, I think, a trend that's going to be happening soon, is really, you know, niche things that people are going to be able to do and to offer, you know, as a small business. It's not like, you know, you don't need to, like, there's Walmart that offers everything, but then there are these places that do, like, you know, very specific things. Like, you know, my place, for example, you know, I'm a takeout sandwich shop. I have a very simple menu. It's very, like, to the point, but the things that we do on that menu, I think, are awesome. Like, we're going to do certain things, do those certain things really well, and people will appreciate that. They don't need, you know, like, you don't need a 25-page wine list anymore. You know, like people don't need that anymore. You can have a one-page wine list that's hitting all the right spots, you know. But yeah, I think people coming up are going to be looking for those specific things if they come up, you know, and you know, want some of the things they have down in the city.
How did you get started in the food service business? I heard you're a culinary grad, so.
Yeah, I went to the CIA. Well, so I was in regular college thinking I want to be a teacher. Both of my parents are PhDs, they're teachers, and you know, I just always thought I'd be a good teacher, which is funny because basically I am right now teaching. Like that's what ownership is. Like you're basically teaching people in training. But so I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and I didn't like it. I didn't do well my first year of college. Then I did better, but I wasn't enjoying it. And so then my mom's like, well, you like to cook. Why don't you, there's this culinary school, you know? Why don't you get a job in a restaurant, see if you like it, and then see if you want to go to culinary school. Because my parents always pushed school. They're like, you know, really try and get an education, which, you know, is good and bad in some ways. But so I got a job at a restaurant, fell in love with it. It was fun, it was crazy, it was scary, it was terrifying every single day, and I made a ton of money, you know, being a runner at this little Mexican restaurant. And then I got a job being a dishwasher at TGI Fridays in Shoppingtown.
Oh my God.
That was fun back in the 90s. That was crazy. But then I went to the CIA, did that, like just, you know, a punch to the face of just discipline and theory and just everything. That place is just insane. Yeah. And then, so I graduated there, came back to Syracuse, served tables at Aird Evans Inn for a little while, kind of. We're
redoing that right now from the fire. And
I'm sure you guys are involved with that, yeah.
It is just incredible to see the walls opened up in the kitchen and see the beams and the history of that.
When I used to work there, they had to put some wiring in the upstairs, and they pulled out a panel. And in the panel, instead of insulation, was old newspapers.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And so we pulled out the old newspapers. I swear to God, they're from like the early 1900s. It was fascinating. Yeah. I forgot what was on them, but we were all like, I think they were like the wanted ads in the newspaper from then.
Kidding.
It was like, you know, a milk driver. Like it was crazy. Anyway, there's
wouldn't know. It's like I walked through the other day just because I wanted to see the dining rooms. It's empty, and you'd never know. It was so lucky. It just stayed in the kitchen. It just stayed right in the rooms. None of the rooms got affected. You can't smell, you know. And they're really going to do their, you know, he said this is giving us the chance to make it.
They probably need to update anyway, you know
make
what I
it
mean?
right.
So that's good.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, Jason's a great guy. I'm sure he'll do right. Yeah. But so I worked there for a while. Then I was like, you know what? What do I want to do? You know, do I want to go cook? Do I want to serve tables somewhere in a big city, or you know? And then I was just like, I don't know, kind of lost for a minute. And so I was like, maybe grad school. And so then I kind of prepared for that, and then went to Cornell for grad school. I have a master's in business, hospitality, business administration type thing.
Is that part of the Stadler? Is that down there? Is that
still, so the undergrad kids run the Statler.
Okay.
The grad school kids just use the Statler bar.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the way that we used to do it. But the hotel at Cornell, the Statler Hotel, which is a great like learning experience for kids, and so went there, did that. And then met my wife there, and we were like, let's move to New York. Let's just figure it out. Let's go down to the city. So we went down to the city for I think like 4 or 5 years. Worked there, loved it, and got crazy experience down there. And then decided to have a kid and move up here. And that's I guess where I left off.
It's such a different lifestyle down there. My son graduated Union, and he was like, "That's where I want to be." And I'm like, "Okay, if that's what you want to do." But it's a totally different lifestyle than what it is in Fayetteville anymore. It's, you know, New York City, and and he paused for a little bit, and then a couple of his buddies went down, and then he was glad he paused because you're earning money to pay your rent, to pay your student loans, and then you might have enough to go out. But if you go out, it's crazy expensive.
Sure.
Your apartment's the size of a closet.
Sure.
And you're paying $2,000 a month. And he said, you don't need a car, and you're on the side. He said he was glad he made that decision.
It's crazy and it's fun. It's an experience, I think, like a lot of people. And I mean, working in the restaurants down there too, I think one of the biggest things that I've ever had to endure in the industry was when they had the MTA strike. And so there was no subways, and all the cabbies were on strike too. So there was no way to get my staff into work, into the restaurant. I worked in this little trendy steakhouse down in Tribeca called Dillon Prime, and it was awesome. But it was like 2 weeks of like, how do we get staffing? Now, if the staff lived in New York, like in the city, like they could walk to work there. We could figure out ways for them to get to work. But I had a lot of staff that lived in New Jersey, you know, that did not lived in Pennsylvania, who would take trains in to go to work.
Yeah.
And how to get them to work, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there have been bigger crazy things that have happened, but like it was fun, but you learn from that. And I think like, you know, those things where you think, what am I gonna do? We are absolutely gonna get, you know, messed up this tonight for service.
Yeah.
But you figure it out and
Yeah.
you make it work. And then afterwards you go, oh my God, like half of this job is problem solving, which is crazy, which it is.
And that's what we're energy or challenge junkies. You know what I mean? I tell people, you know, if you don't love helping people and you don't love like hustling for, you know, however many hours you have to do and that challenge, don't go in this business, because it's the same on our side as it is on your side. It's a little less stressful because we get nights and weekends off, but when you're here, it's go, 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 because you guys have to go, 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 go.
Well, it's interesting. I've been working with Anthony, who's doing a great job, and he, it's funny because this is the first time I've owned a restaurant. I've opened a ton of accounts in restaurants, but I've never been the owner. And so getting all of my ducks in a row involves me really relying on my contractors and my vendors to kind of give me a little wiggle room, right? So me going, oh my God, wait a second, I have an inspection for the plumbing, but you need to get me this 3-bay sink. I need it like now. Can you get it to me tomorrow? Like please, like, and it's kind of working in that thing of like every night, like my phone pops up and something on my schedule is like, did you remember to blank? And I'm like, oh no, I gotta go get this done. And so then I'm on the phone and I'm calling people late night being like, oh wait, you know, I know that you need to paint this, but before we paint it, I forgot we need to put a hole in the wall so we can put this thing in. And so like working with you guys, but that's the thing. Like you guys are kind of tied to the industry, so you get half of it. You know what I mean? Which is tough, but I'm sure, you know, in the end, you get to walk into like the Salt City Market after it's all done, kind of look around and kind of pat yourself on the back a little bit and go, hey man, we figured this out. We got it done, you know?
I can't wait, because right now, I was there yesterday with a vendor showing him something, and I'm like, let's just get in, because every time I'm there, it's, oh Mark.
Oh yeah, they need you.
Know?
Hey,
some of them are like, Mr. Olson, can you? And I'm
can
like,
you put casters on this, please?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't have my car, bro.
And the people that own the Allen Foundation's like, talk to us, we'll take care of it. We'll get you what you need.
It's
but
crazy what they've done. It's crazy. I can't wait to go. I really can't wait. I haven't been yet.
I picked the wrong time to start a diet, but they've got, yesterday I was there at 1 o'clock. The Salt City Coffee and Bar area had 30 people inside of it, and they're having coffee and drinks. And you would never think coffee and beer and wine, but there was people doing both.
I'll do it.
And then all the stalls were, and then all the stalls were good. And there was kids and there was young adults, and it was a great mix. So I think it's going to be a success.
So glad, Sarah. Like, it's funny. You see things in big cities, and you're like, I want Syracuse to be able to support something like that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we can do that, and I hope it just thrives. You know, I think also like it's too like someone asked me the other day because I think there might be a Chick-fil-A that might be going in DeWitt.
Yes, we heard of Heckinger's Plaza or whatever it is. Yeah.
I think it's actually where, this is my the only, I think it's where the old country club used to be. Remember the country club? It was
I did hear that. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
Now that it's been burned to the ground, or not burned, it's been just
torn down. Yeah.
It's not there anymore, and so I think they're in that lot, and my buddy was like, "Oh no, you're going to be so screwed. Like, what are you going to do?
No.
You're going to have Chick-fil-A down the street. You'll never have a customer." And I'm like, no, dude, you don't understand.
Business.
I want Chick-fil-A over here. I want DeWitt to be like, hey, let's go to DeWitt. We could go to Chick-fil-A. We could go to PeachTree Sandwich Company. We could go to Wegmans. We could go to blank. And like the more options that people have, and the better those options are, like the more I think that it makes me look good, because I'm part of this great club that's able to make all this great food, and people are like, oh, great food. Like, not to keep using a New York reference, but like you go into Brooklyn, there are some blocks in Brooklyn right now where there are 50 bar restaurants that serve like the best burger you've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, how do all these places survive? And it's like, because they're all good.
Yeah.
And people will go there and determine. Now, for me, the Chick-fil-A success will probably be great because people are going to go. They're going to see a line of 200 cars long, and then they'll go on their phone and go, sandwiches, what do I do? And I have, I think, a very nice, fried chicken sandwich with a hot honey rub, which is going to be fantastic. And so I think people might, divert their idea into maybe somewhere close to there. But it's interesting. Like I really like the Salt City Market. I think you can have 8 different concepts under one roof, and if they're all good, then it's good for each of them that each other one is good. Because if 5 of them were bad, no one's going to end up going there, and then the good ones are going to, you know what I mean? So the fact we have really good, I don't know, is it 8, 9? I don't know how many they have going there now, but.
I do it in my head because I just do it as stalls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stalls total.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great. I think that's great. And if all of them are awesome and all of them are doing well, I think that's great for Syracuse. It's good for all those owners. It's good for everyone. Good for you guys.
And they actually did, we reached out day one when we heard about it and said, we want to do this. We want to help you. We want to be part of this. And they were great because they said, okay, once we pick the vendors, we really want them to go do what you've done with Anthony, where you sat down and you went through the process, because you learn so much going through that. Like you've been through the process a little bit, with previous jobs, but to be really the one that's saying, this is what I need, this is what I'm paying for.
It's the writing the check.
Yeah.
I've never written these checks this large in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm not to say that it's expensive. I mean, it is what it is, but like the idea that the ownership, the engagement of ownership is terrifying and it's sobering, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I was telling my buddy actually it was during the Super Bowl. So you guys had just delivered my fryer, but obviously it wasn't hooked up yet. The gas wasn't hooked up, but it was just sitting there. And I was looking at my buddy and I'm like, it's funny, right? Because he's like, oh, I'm going to throw some wings on my Traeger. And I was like, oh, I actually own a fryer. Like I could throw them next year in my fryer. Cause we're closed on Sunday. We're open every other day, but I was like, it's so interesting. Like I own a fryer now. It's cool to think about. And the stuff that I'm going to be able to use that fryer for, but like it's different when I used to order equipment for another company, that I'd be working for or whatever. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I need that equipment. You'd look for it and you try and get the best deal. And you try and get the exact thing. But for me now, it's like every single little in and out of that piece of equipment, I'm going to be on top of, how to clean it, but every single little wire that's inside of there is I'm going to know how to use it so I can either troubleshoot if there's an issue with it or help make sure it's clean or, make sure it's running at its most efficient way and things like that. It's like a different level right now than it was before with the equipment especially.
And that's important because one of your neighbors, Scott in Sterling, I'm always impressed with him because he'll try to diagnose it. And we have a parts department that has 5, and they'll show him the diagram, show him where it goes, show him the part number and the price, and he'll order it, and he ends up fixing some. But he's really into that and it saves him money. And he goes, "It's my equipment," you know what I mean? And he's invested in it.
He owns it. Yeah.
He spent so much money on it, and for him, it's worked. It really has. He's been able to. We redid the kitchen probably 10 or 15 years ago. His lineup, he has the same lineup. He's just, if something's broken, he's fixed it, or if he's been able to pull it out, put a new one in, and keep the spare, get that fixed.
Sure.
Because when you're down, so that fryer goes down. Do you have one fryer?
I have one fryer. Yeah.
What do you do?
I don't know. It's going to be a bad situation.
We do a lot of pizza shops, and I say to everybody, mixer, prep table, and pizza ovens. If those go down, they have to work. That's why you spend a little bit extra money on a Hobart mixer. I mean, look at that one over there. It's today, if you said you needed a mixer and that was the only one I had, that's 75 years old, it would work great. You pay a little bit more money, but you get a better product and you get it, so I tell people that.
There's a definite benefit to that for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you for adding to my, oh, what am I going to do if my fire goes down? All right, we'll have to talk about that.
We try to, what he does now is when he had problems with one, he has a backup, so he bought an extra one, and then if anything ever happens, roll it out, roll it in,
get in there.
Quick disconnect.
Before service and get done.
We redid a place in the city, and literally they had all this custom equipment, and we said, when we were redoing it, we said, why don't we do it this way, because in case you change your mind or in case something changes, 6 years later, they said, you know what, this pasta craze, so we want to do a pasta cooker, and then we want to change this charbroiler to something else. Literally, they said, okay, we're done with lunch. At 2 o'clock, we showed up, click, 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 pulled everything out, put all the new stuff in, click, click, click. They were serving dinner.
They were doing it that night.
Dinner that night with a new menu and all the new equipment. And that other equipment we just took back. You got to think about that. And they did a really nice job of thinking about that, you know. And Scotch and Sterling does a really nice job of always, what do I do if this goes down?
Forever.
What do I do if, oh my God,
It's crazy how well they've done.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, how long has Scotch been there? Do you know how long it's been there?
It's been over 45 years.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's been, and think about Shoppingtown and all that's going on. I think it's going to be a good thing for our community. I think with the right investor, the right group, and just like you said, once this pops, and once we're done and we have herd immunity, there's so much pent up. You know, I want to get out. I want to go. I want to, you know what I mean? So even in my head, I'm sitting there planning things and saying, what can I do and where can I go? And I think it's just going to be a resurgence. And
it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be great for everyone. It's going to be great for businesses. People can get out, mental health. It's going to be great for, it's just, of course. I can't wait.
What's been the hardest part of this new operation that you're opening?
Hardest part, probably staffing. You know, that's the easy answer is to say finding the right people, finding happy people. I think in every single interview, I've done probably 100 interviews. Every single interview, I'm like, is this person happy right now? Or are they not? And if they're not happy, it's like, well, can I make them happy? It's kind of tough to make someone happy. I could teach someone how to roast a turkey breast. But can I teach them that, when their dog died, can they come into work and still smile?
Yeah.
Because they unfortunately have to.
Yeah.
So that's been tough. I feel like I found a great staff though. I am fully staffed and we're ready to roll as soon as I can get all these inspections done and kind of get rolling in the next couple of weeks. But
we interviewed Paul from Glazed and Confused, and he has the same staff, like maybe one person since he's opened. And I said, what was and he goes, Mark, it's about quality of life. It's about treating people right. It's about making sure they have the equipment they need and just having a great atmosphere to work. And I feel like it sounds simple, but turnover in restaurants, is so high.
It's costly. It really costs a lot.
Oh my God.
It's not just the recruiting cost. It's the cost of, the cost of the business you may have lost because that person wasn't there for a few days. It's the cost of training. It's the cost, there's a lot of cost involved with that. And I think it's, people don't understand that. But it's tough, it's a grind. Everyone knows it. Everyone who's worked in the business knows it's a grind. So it's tough. I think when we were talking about hospitality before, the one thing I always tell my staff, because we do a lot of training on hospitality, like I said, empowering them to know how to handle a customer who might be unhappy or a customer who might be happy or anything, being able for them to handle that. But hospitality isn't just involved with your guests. You need to extend your hospitality to your coworkers.
Yeah.
You need to extend your hospitality to your vendors. It's not just, we're all a bunch of jerks and all of a sudden someone walks in and we perk up and go, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
It's literally like when the Cisco guy is coming in and you might, help him with the door because it's super snowy out, It's when, Gerharz comes in and they're trying to help me fit in something and, or it's when your coworker walks in and their dog unfortunately died and they're at work. Like it's making sure you make people feel like they belong and make people feel welcome and make people feel happy. And it's not just your guests, it's your coworkers. And when your coworkers then can at least try their best to, to work together and live together, because you live there, I mean, we're working, 9-hour shifts together. When they do that, I think that's when people realize that this whole hospitality thing, it's not just like this dumb customer service way to make more money or to upsell, which a lot of people think it's literally, and especially in a Southern inspired restaurant, I mean, we're a Southern inspired restaurant through and through, not just because of the menu, Cuisine is a product of culture, right? That's a silly, way to look at it, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
All right. So where does Southern cuisine come from? It comes from the people. It's very regional, but it also comes from the way that people in the South are, and the people in the South are a little different than people in the North. And there's a way that you need to treat people in a Southern inspired restaurant that might be a little different than the way you get treated at Dinosaur Barbecue. And I love Dinosaur Barbecue, right? But they're not going to be kind of like, like that.
Yeah, but that's their vibe.
But and it works for them, and and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? They don't want to be that way.
Right.
Whereas where I am, it really needs to be, and I'm a little tiny place. I'm a really small takeout sandwich shop. It's not like, we have 50 staff. I got 11 staff that I need to make sure that they're happy and that they're extending hospitality to everyone in their space.
Yeah.
And so I think I can do it, and I think I've hired the right people, and I think it's going to be the type of thing where people will go, oh, I love going there.
Yeah.
It's such a nice little place to go and get a really good, thing. And it's not just the menu, like I said, it's the way that people treat you and are treated.
Yeah. We preach that a lot, and I preach it a lot, and we practice it. The thing I say, you can go anywhere. You could have gone anywhere. A little hard to do the design because not a lot of people do the design. But you could have gone to 10 different places and bought equipment. But it's where you're comfortable, where you're going to get what you need. Salt City, I was there opening day, and they were getting crushed. And I left for just a couple hours to get some stuff, and I came back. And when I came back, 4 of the stands had run out of food. And then by 2 hours later, the other 4 had run out of food.
Wow.
And I sat there and said to myself, these guys are in trouble. They're going to need, you've been through openings where you go, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah, because it's a guess. You're guessing.
But you pick up the phone and you know that vendor, that produce vendor, or that, And so I said, let's get 2 people in here the next day. We'll send an email out. We got 9 out of 11 stands that came in real quick, grabbed what they needed, because we're not open on Saturdays anymore, and grabbed what they needed. We delivered, we made 4 loads down, took it down.
Nice.
And I said to myself, that's what they need. These are small business people, even large business. That's what they need to be able to pick that phone up and say, I need help.
And I think another thing too is you guys aren't just big pieces of equipment,
Oh, yeah.
It's like the small wares sometimes, wait, I need 5 more stainless steel bowls.
Yeah.
Can I get that? Hey Anthony, can you get me that? And yeah, man, we'll figure it out. Little stuff like that, because it's not, everything is just a guess. You can forecast, and you can say, I think I'm going to sell blank amount of sandwiches every single day at a blank check average, which hopefully yields a blank gross profit and blah, blah, blah. And you can think that way, but in the end, it's once people find out, I make my own bacon, right? We're curing and smoking our own bacon in-house, right? The bacon is awesome.
Yeah. What made you decide to do that? Just because that's the right way to do it, or it fits the menu recipe that you were trying to do?
Well, so the idea behind this is someone's you're making a sandwich shop, oh, okay, you're Subway, you're Wegmans, you're whatever, and it's well, I need to be different somehow. I'm not gonna be happy, just having I love to cook. I'm a cook at heart, so I'm well, what can we do to differentiate ourselves? What's our competitive advantage other than the hospitality, which will be a competitive advantage? It was well, let's do as much from scratch as we can. So we're getting turkey breasts in. We're roasting our own turkey breasts. We season them, herbs, roast them every single day. Top rounds of beef we're getting to make our own roast beef. We're grinding our own burger meat. Half brisket, half chuck. It makes this insanely tasty burger. That's freshly ground in-house every day. We're making our focaccia bread in the morning. Stuff like this, and the bacon. Yeah. I love making. I've always made bacon, and my friends are always "This bacon's so good, dude," and I'm thanks. And then I'm wait, I can make a really good BLT, and then, but the bacon, right? So I have staff. I tell them in the interview, I'm guess what? 3 weeks from now, you're gonna know how to make bacon. They're like sliced bacon? I'm no, you're literally gonna take a pork belly and you're gonna turn it into bacon, and it's gonna be delicious. And they're oh, really? And I'm yeah, man, we're gonna. It's and none of this is hard. No. Roasting a turkey. Yeah. It's not hard to roast a turkey. You throw it in, you season it, you throw it in the oven, you temp it, make sure it's up to temp, and then you're good. But I think that's going to be the differentiator for us. Is going to be, that type of stuff. The turkey is just better when it's fresh. It's not, I mean, and believe me, there are people who make really good turkey. That's, you take and you cut the bag open and you slice the turkey, and it's good turkey. Yeah. I think though when you roast it, fresh, it tastes better. Yeah. I
remember. Did you ever go to Huller's?
Yeah, of course.
So I remember I was a cook there at 17.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one of my jobs was every day at 4:00, go to the Smith's grocery store across the street and get your 30 pounds of ground beef. And I had to make burger patties. Yeah. And I was this is such a pain. But their burgers were awesome.
Everyone
and I'm sitting there
burgers,
going, yeah, that was a simple way for them to make sure it was a quality product. And they were supporting a local people. Even though they didn't do it and know they were doing that, they were supporting a local, and that grocery store could count on that. But I was just looking at you and I was just thinking how jazzed you are. And I'm thinking, you and I dealt with each other in a previous job that you had at a C-store. You seem like you're on fire. Like this is so, like you've got your passion, you found, I have a saying, love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It sounds like you found it.
Yeah. Well, listen, 2 weeks, we do this over again. It's gonna like a week after I open, I'll be like, all right, Mark, I made a bad mistake. No.
Is your wife on board? Is she excited?
She's super excited. She's been wanting me to. She's not in the industry, but she's helping tons.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it alone. You just can't. No. It's funny, so I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old daughters, and it's funny, they're helping me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You need support from everywhere to open any small business, whether it's in this industry. I'm sure if you even whatever you're doing, even if you have a little bookstore, you need people to help you. All of my friends have helped me. Yeah. Over the holidays, I was able to sell a lot of gift cards, even though I'm not open. All my friends were like, "Yeah, hey, can I get this many gift cards for this person?" Really trying to help me kind of get through, because I was supposed to open 2 months ago, and as stuff happens, it just kind of keeps getting pushed. So my wife has been great, though. She's been super duper helpful, and my kids are helpful too. Actually, it's funny. We were we were looking at this big wall, and I was like, what do we put on this wall? And then I remembered, in my original restaurant idea, the walls were actually filled with pictures that kids have drawn, so it's called PeachTree Sandwich Company, obviously. So I went to my daughters and 6 of their friends and was like, hey, here's a blank piece of paper, draw me, or with a crayon, paint, whatever you want to do. I want your idea of what a peach tree is. And all the kids came back, and some of them are a little more simple because the kids are younger. Some of them are a little bit nicer, but they're all just a kid drawing of a peach tree, and we're gonna frame them all and throw them on this wall. Yeah. But it's my friends being like, I want my kids to be involved. Everyone just kind of wants to help.
I love that.
Super awesome.
Exo Taco and OG, he's a good customer of ours, and I'm like, where the hell do you come up with this stuff? And he goes, Mark, same thing. The lipstick, I don't know if you've been to Exo, you see
of course, love it.
He picked that up from, he literally, when he was down there, he saw something and it just, boom, popped in his head, and he was like, that red's gonna be the red that we use, and that's gonna be the theme. And he just ran with it, and
he's done an awesome job too.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that creativity is just where I'm always like, you guys have the vision, you know what you want to do. That's why we kind of get out of the way and, okay, tell us what you want, tell us what your menu's going to be, and then we'll design it, and then we'll work together. And it really is, we'll tell you what you can do, what you can't do, what you should do, what you need, what you don't need. But you guys really, one of our catalogs has the back of the dinosaur, and literally, John Stage came here and said, this is my vision. It was literally on a cocktail napkin.
That's cool.
And that's the upstairs of the Dinosaur Barbecue. Now.
I can't wait till we can go back, have a big event. That place is awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I think, listen, people get inspired by crazy stuff. I mean, and I don't think anyone has ever done it by themselves. You have to have people help you and give you ideas. Even the electrician who's been at my shop, he was talking. I was telling him about the menu while he was putting his pendant lights up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, my wife actually was from Georgia too." I was like, "No way, really?" And we start talking, and then he's talking to me about some of the stuff that his wife makes, and I was like, "Oh, I should use that sauce."
Yeah.
And I was like, boom. Then all of a sudden I'm all right, looking at my menu, and I'm like, where can I put this? And it's just it just comes from anywhere, you random people that you walk into, or even your best friends, I think. But I don't think anyone does it alone.
It's a valuable lesson, because we do it on our end. You got to have those vendors that are the guy that just walked by as our metal fab guy. And literally, if I need, at Salt City, they were like, we've got this cubby, what do we do? And I'm like, do you want a stainless steel? They were going to put a coffee machine in there. And I'm like, oh, my stainless steel guy, come here. And the next thing you know, he's in 10 different spots doing 10 different things. Our HVAC people, our electricians, our plumbers. You need those people, and those partnerships are important, because it's going to be Friday night, and guess what's going to break?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and if you have that relationship, you can pick the phone up and say, I called a vendor the other day, and I'm like, I'm sorry to do this to you. It's a Saturday, but my phone's blowing up, and this guy, he had a cotton candy machine, and brand new, plugged it in, spun, no heat. He's got 65 kids coming.
Oh, no.
Or 55 kids or whatever it is, to do a takeout thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no cotton candy. And I'm like, boom, picked up the phone. Guy got on the phone with the customer. They rattled through it. He ended up going down, taking care of it. And it was because of the relationship, It
is all relationships too. I mean, in the end, it really is. It's yeah. What's your motivation other than money to help me out? What's my motivation other than money to help you. I mean, it can't only just be money. There's got to be some human type thing going on, whether it's me with a customer who's ordering a BLT, or whether it's you and me, determining what type of, fryer I should buy, or whether it's me with the guy who comes in to fix my walk-in cooler.
Yeah.
It can't always just be money. It doesn't work that way.
Your success is like, I'll just take Chris as an example. Chris started out Modern Malt, just being part of that whole team. And then Chris had a vision, OG. And then OG had a vision to Exo Taco. Oh, by the way, we opened up another OG in Rochester. Oh, by the way, now we're doing his new chicken, SoFly chicken. He's got a.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the Exo menu.
Yeah, we're working on that concept with him right now.
Oh man,
it's that and his success has turned out to be our success, but it's also turned out to be a great relationship, because that's what, you go back to Dick Gerharz 50 years ago. They would call him up and say, Dick, I need help. Can you do. Now he has customers that, we have a pizza chain that we do business with. It's real close, and I'm wondering if it's the same one. He'll call and just say, this is what I need. Dick hasn't been here because of COVID, hasn't been here, but he'll say, just call Dick and ask Dick, this is what I want. Doesn't ask a price, doesn't ask.
Yeah.
It's a relationship, it's a trust factor, and more people need that. And I hope you're learning that in this process, because it can't just be about price. It just can't be about, it's got to be about that. We're there to make you succeed. Because the more of people like you in Salt City and others, the more business we'll have.
Sure.
But the more Syracuse becomes better, and the more, our customers get a better, better product, get better service, get better everything. So it's exciting.
It's a long road to the financial gain, but on the way there, you can't screw people over. I think it's just, because everyone knows it. We've all worked for people like that, and it's like, literally one penny is going to be determining whether they go with this guy or this guy. And this guy, if you can't beat that price, and it's all just about price, and then, and then people end up just, you get a reputation for that stuff.
It does hurt in the long run a little bit, because like we just did a huge job, and then go ahead, price shop us. We understand that, and then they came back and. They said, well, you're high, and then we look, and they said, okay, well, just send us the quote. We look at the quote. It's not even it's not even close to what we said. And we literally had a customer who said, oh, I'm gonna, it was a walk-in cooler outdoor, and they said, nope, we're gonna go with this company. They called us 3 months later and said the cooler fell, the snow, the weight of the thing. Oh. And they said, what can we do? And we're like, we had snow load built in. We had a membrane roof. We had it, we know all these things in the Northeast that happen. Sure. When you go online, they just didn't know that. And so they ended up buying the right one, and thank God they had insurance and were able to put it through. But it was a tough lesson to learn. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do, is teach people those, we've seen so many lessons from people that have made mistakes, or we've learned something. I learned, I was at Salt City for the beer system, and I learned there's this rise and this pump, this glycol pump, and there's these restrictors in there, and literally, how long do you think it takes to pour a pint of beer? What it's supposed to take? What do you?
To pour like a real pint of beer? Yeah. I don't know, I'd say probably like a minute to make sure it's
8, yeah, so I didn't know this. I was like, it's 8 seconds is optimal time, 8 to 10 seconds.
Well, I'm just saying, because you gotta let it sit for a minute,
So the guy, Mark is taking 12 seconds, and I'm like, oh. So we did some research to come to find out that the restrictors that we put in, there's beads, and they put 3 beads in. If we put 4 in, we can restrict it a little bit more. It'll go out faster. It won't foam up. There's so much science and so much. Yeah. So literally 17 years in the industry, I learned all about this yesterday, and all the speed and the line and the draw and the pump and the pressure. It was really interesting, but it's such a science.
And it all is very important to the taste of that beer, and whoever that beer maker is and wants that specific taste. I remember, beer makers coming into our restaurants in New York City, they would be like, hey, pour me a blah, blah. We wouldn't even know where they were. And we'd pour it, and the guy would be like, when was the last time you cleaned these lines? And we'd be like, I don't know. The owner would be like, well, we did it. And he'd be like, no. If you want this, because if you want to get these like artisanal, and back then this was, before there was like, an artisanal beer, craft beer everywhere. This was, these guys were really trying to get their beers into restaurants. Yeah. And those things were incredibly important to them. It was kind of like, how are you pouring it? Are your glasses cleaned with a certain type of soap? Are you rinsing them with the soap? Yeah. All that stuff was super important to the actual taste of the beer. Yeah. So I can totally see them being like, let's get this exactly right.
And more manufacturers are doing this. Like we sell a lot of combi ovens now, and you can't, like you could say, oh no, I don't want to pay that, I'll do it myself. They won't let you. they won't sell it to you.
Yeah.
And they won't sell it to you until somebody comes in and does a pre-site inspection to make sure you have the right water, the right power, the right gas, the right drains. And then they won't release the order to us until they've done that. And it's smart because they want to make sure that when you use it, it's working 100% correctly and you're 100% trained and that there's no issues. So it's come a long way, and it's some equipment. I mean, it's a big investment. You know, it's not a $5,000 fryer, it's a $25,000 oven, but it's going to last you, you know, hopefully 10 to 15 years. So.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thanks for having me,
And we
man.
wish you
cool.
all the success, and can't wait till you're open. And
Yeah,
again, right across from the DeWitt Firehouse and PNC, I call it PNC, but it's Tops now.
Yeah,
That's
right
a great
across from
plaza
there.
too. That's a
Well,
you know,
it's got a lot of people who drive by it, but yeah, we're excited. I'm excited just to get rolling. Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be terrifying, and it's gonna be really good food.
great. Well,
So,
good.
thanks for having me.
Congratulations, and thank you to everybody for listening.
All right, bro.
Thank you.
Thanks.